Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today's video is in regards to a few requests that I've had over on Instagram. If you don't follow me over there, feel free, go over, give me a follow. I've had a few questions in regards to how do I store my herbs after summertime. What was the other one? How do I store my spices, my dried beans, lentils, etc. So that's what today's video is going to be about. So this is just my honest opinion. I've been using mason jars for a long time before they came back into style of being hip, besides just using them for canning. And we're going to start off with this. You can see this. This is fresh kale that I dehydrated in my dehydrator, and I just store it in a wide mouth jar. So let's see. I'm going to take you around as best as possible and show you what is going on. Here is tomato, dehydrated tomato. I'm not sure if you ever saw that on Instagram or anywhere else. It's where you have an abundance of tomatoes, the really sweet ones, and you put them in your dehydrator, and you dry them out, and then you ground them. Oops, that is what is in here. I also use mason jars to, this is like, let me see if I can get you closer. This is ghost peppers and Thai peppers that are dehydrated. We have some sun-dried tomatoes, not in olive oil. This is some dehydrated green bell peppers in this jar with a little bit of the orange sweet peppers. And this is a mixture of a lot of different peppers that I decided to dehydrate. This is how I store it. And what else do I have over here? This is some more of the cherry sun-dried tomatoes that I store there. So I wanted to try to stay on top of, people that send out a request. Can you do a video on this or that? And this is a pretty quick, pretty simple video. So that's how I store anything that I dehydrate. I keep it in the wide mouth the jars. I think they're like quarts. And then this is how I store my rice. This is basmati rice. This is the big jar. Black beans, red kidney beans. This is my little jar of lentils, if you can see that. I need one more to top it off. This right here is not sugar. This is pretzel salt. I buy it in big bulk. So I have like 2 more jars in my pantry closet, and I keep 1 jar out and accessible for when I want to make buttery soft pretzels. And then I got the white northern beans. I don't know if you could see this. Let me bring this down. These are a little bit heavier. Let me show you what I do. I will put it in the jar, fill my jar up, and if you can see that right there, I put the label inside so that I know what each bean is in case it's one of those days and you can't remember anything. So this is a pretty large jar, and that's how I keep my beans. And this one is a new bean for me. I don't cook with it a lot, but I will show you. This, I'm pretty sure, is going to be pinto beans. It is. Pinto beans. I wanted to start cooking with some pinto beans. So, honestly, I went to Aldi's, and I found a 32-ounce bags. And this is about 1.25 bags. So I have some extra left over in my pantry closet. But this is pretty much how I store my beans. Let me bring you along. And I keep them right up there on on my shelf in my dining room. Kind of looks cute. And then this is the kale with the tomatoes, like I showed you, along with a lot of the dried peppers that I dehydrated. That's how I store it. Down here, I got this from the Stivers. It is the marigold and honey oil. I store that right down here with all my cookbooks. And then let's take you to the kitchen. I love this idea. I'm going to say this before I even open the cabinet, but I love what I've done with my spices. I've had this for about 12 years now. Let me turn you around. Hopefully you can see this. And then I bought a little labeler for like garlic powder, oregano. I have mint from my garden right there, if you can see that. These are all my dry rubs are up here. I kind of don't have an extra jar or two for my Creoles. I started to get into using these. So occasionally you'll see something like this in my spice cabinet, but normally not so much. And I had to purchase some cumin, so there's a little bit left in there. Before, it used to just be all the jars, and then behind it would be backup. But I have a lot of stuff that I did from my garden, like cilantro. I made jalapeno pepper, which is drying the jalapenos, and you grind them up in an old coffee grinder. I did that. This is some homemade pizza seasoning. This is some dried, everybody calls them something different. Scallions, scunions, that's what that is. So on this side is basically everything that has to do with, oops, sorry guys, has everything to do with Italian cooking. This is a little bit left of my basil. So I have bay leaves. I have my Italian spice, garlic powder, onion powder, you name it, it's in here. This is completely packed. And when a jar runs low, I just pretty much fill it back up. But this is, let me back up, how I keep my herbs. I love it. It keeps them fresh, or spices, because this is my spice cabinet. I've had this for quite some time, that you can see on some of the rubs. The labels are starting to lift. So for 12, 13 years, it's pretty good. I may have to do a few new labels, but that's okay. This is very efficient. I don't have like a ton of space, so this works out well for me. Super easy. It was like a little craft I did like 12 or 13 years ago, and I haven't turned back. I don't want a spice rack on my counter. I've done that. I've had a spice rack hanging on the wall. This is the way to go for all your herbs, all your spices that you use for cooking. It's obviously right above my, let's see, oops, wrong way, my stove. So yeah, that's just some of the questions that I have been getting lately on Instagram, and I thought that I would take the time out to acknowledge it. Love the idea, like I said. As far as my spices are concerned, it's super easy. I usually will buy in bigger bulk, which is kept in, I don't have the biggest kitchen, so let's start off with that. So here's another thing that I did, but I might not open it because the top shelf's a mess. But let me turn you around. I put, look, I still have herbs growing that was out on the deck, and I brought it in. So this is my one, I have to give it a little, this is my one pantry closet that I keep a lot of like my pastas and so forth in there. And then in my bathroom, I have another one of these cabinets. It's like a space saver, works out great for me because I can keep a lot of stuff in there. It has like 5 shelves. So that's how I store my boxed things. But my spaghetti, let me see if I can pull it out. I'll give you a little sneak peek. Maybe we'll clean this out. It's just mainly the top shelf. The snacks are a mess. But I use these types of containers for my pasta. Let me sit you down a second. I just labeled it Angel Hair Pasta with my labeler. This is the kind that has the button to keep everything fresh, and that is how I keep all my pasta. And I have containers like this for like pancake mix and whatnot. But I would like to get a few more jars for, I think, like my pancake mix and whatnot. And then last but not least, since we're on the, you know, how do I store things? I mean, I do have a smaller kitchen. This is an example. This is the top of, see if I can get you in there. It's awkward this way. I think I put the camera on wrong today. You guys. Okay, this is the top of my freezer box, if you can see that. And this is where I keep my brown sugar. Let's see. Back here. It's kind of dark over here. I keep my flour. This is my sugar, which is humongous. Brown sugar, I already showed you that. And this is where I keep my confectionery sugar, all in this area, because this is kind of where I do a lot of my baking. And then here's the cabinet up above. It's not the neatest, but I also keep everything that's involving baking in this cabinet. For an example, baking powder, baking soda, cinnamon, vanilla. I have slithered almonds in here in this jar, which is great. I have some superfine coconut. My yeast. This is all that I have left to my yeast, so it's not bad. I'm going to finish this up. But I have a backup pack that was in my freezer that I just took out. But I do keep my yeast as well in a mason jar, just like that. And let's see what else. Pecans or pecans, however you say them. Figured I'd give you a tour. And this is, oh, I had to think, milk powder for when I'm baking bread. I don't have to use real milk, and it won't go moldy as quickly. So yeah, I pretty much, what else do I have? This is, guess that wasn't, because this is the milk powder right here with the label in it that I use for, like I said, baking my bread. I think that may be a backup jar that I just showed. And this is like the baking salt. What else do we have? This is potato flakes, like the instant potatoes. I use this for baking and breads and whatnot. And I think, let me say, the last jar back here, maybe, I have some cornmeal in a jar. And that is how I keep everything that pertains to baking. I just keep it all in jars. I just think it's a little dark right here. I just think it just keeps it neater. It's you can find everything all in one spot. Right now I'm just gonna put this stuff back. Even my pecans, you could keep a little bit out. I wouldn't recommend keep a whole bunch out, because your nuts should really be kept in your freezer. And let me turn you this way, and hopefully you can see, because it's a little dark over here. This is where I keep my melting baking chips, chocolate chip morsels. I'll show you what these containers look like. They have the lock on them. I have back here, if you can see this, I'll pull it forward for you. I have walnuts. So I have 4 of these types of jars for my chocolate chips, my semi-sweet morsels, and my baking chips. I also keep, my son let's see. I'm trying to aim you guys because I turned the camera around wrong. Today, of course, my son bought me the pasta attachments for my KitchenAid a couple years back. One does spaghetti, the other one does fettuccine, and the other one does the sheets for lasagna. So I keep that in there. I also keep my measuring cups up in here. Any extra of, well, they're the glass Pyrex. Any extra measuring cups I keep there. And I keep the basic parchment paper, my Ziploc baggies, my Reynolds wrap, these, which I mentioned these before in a video. These are called, let's see if I can get you on it. This is called the Covermates. They're stretched to fit food covers. I use these for bowls that I am going to be putting bread in that needs to rise. These are fantastic. My grater is up here. My 2 spoons for my Instapot. And yeah, I think I covered that. So that is that area. And like I said, this is exactly where I keep all my baking stuff in the big jars. This holds this jar here is sugar. I think this holds 20 or it's 15 pounds of sugar. Same with the flour. I keep Hershey's syrup up here and some caramel syrup. I also keep my honey there because in case I want to make a caramel latte. So yeah, and then I want to show you guys this real fast. My friend got me these. Let's sit down because I want to show you these. Sorry if that was a little dark near the baking things, but it is what it is in that area. My friend just came over last weekend, and I'm trying to collect roosters. They're like my fave. And look at these gorgeous measuring spoons. Are they beautiful? I would have been perfectly fine with just the plain roosters, but look at how beautiful that is. So now we're just trying to find the cups to match it because I do bake a lot. And I love these. I was super excited. So I wanted to, on this video of everyone asking me how I store my things I dehydrate, my herbs, my spices, my beans, I wanted to make sure that I showed you all the baking stuff and these gorgeous rooster spoons from my friend John Pizzi. Love them. We're having a hard time finding the cups to match, but we'll find them. But yeah, that's what today's video is about. I'm trying to make sure that I covered everything. So if anyone leaves me a message on Instagram in my DM box, I do try to get to it as fast as I can. And I love mason jars. I've been using them for years before I even knew how to can. I think it keeps the product fresh longer. It's just super duper easy. I even have like a big mason jar. Where is it? I have to think a second. I have a big mason jar that I even make homemade sweet tea in. Let me see where I put it because I did wash it. That could be interesting. It could be anywhere at this house right about now. It's odd because it's not going to be in my fridge. My fridge is packed. I wanted to show you that. Now I don't know where I put it. I think I put it out of the way so nobody would bang into it. Now I can't find it. But let me show you this. I also have a basket. Let me line this up. Sorry if I'm making you dizzy today, guys. I have a basket down here that I keep all my extra jars and stuff in, all different sizes. And up here, let me spread this out. If you can see on top of my hutch, I have 2 of these mason jar pitchers. One is for milk and the other one is for orange juice. Looks just like a mason jar, just has a little lock on it with a little dispenser to get your liquids out. So like I said, I have been in love with mason jars for a really, really long time. And I just think it's easier to keep your things fresh and last longer. Like I said, when it comes to my spices, I buy a little bit in bigger bulk. That other pantry closet is in my laundry room. So that's how I utilize space. But I will keep extra in there. Jar starts running low, I'll pull out a couple if they're not already dried from my garden and just refill them. So they don't get stale, and they stay super fresh. And yeah, I really loved getting my dehydrator this year and dehydrating all types of things, peppers, tomatoes, and literally I just keep it in the jar. Let's see what happens. You hear the air? Like it's just keeps them nice and fresh. And you can reconstitute these with a little bit of water. I also have some extra empty jars back here for backup. So I always try to make sure that I have a few more extra jars on hand in case I want to can and in case I want to store anything else. Now, as far as the big jars are concerned with the beans up top, I've never had black-eyed peas, but I want to get another jar for black-eyed peas, and I need one more bigger jar so that I can store lentils, whether they're the orange lentils or the green ones. I just think they keep well in there. It's less stuff in my pantry closet, and that is pretty much it, guys. That is answering a question from someone that DM'd me about a week or two ago. Sorry, I'm just getting to it now, on how I store the things that I dehydrate, my spices, my beans. I've already showed you how I store my brown sugar, my flour, all big glass jars. I just think it's more sanitary. It's, keeps things fresh. And I finally wanted to get around to making this video so I can get it out there. I do have to go through my pantry closets. The one in the kitchen's not too bad. It's just the top shelf of snacks because I have a grandson. And that one needs to be straightened up. But in there, I have a basket in the back. Because I used to keep my potatoes up on my refrigerator and then they would grow eyeballs too fast. I have a red basket, like a wicker basket in the far back. I only buy 10-pound bags of potatoes. They're keeping so well in there because during the dark, my kitchen's a little bit colder due to the slate floor that I have down. My onions, red and just regular Spanish onions, Vidalia onions. Here, I'll show you. Might as well show you everything. This is where I keep my garlic, and this is my big basket of onions that I keep here because there's air and it circulates and they don't turn quick at all. So I do that, and I'm trying to think what else you might possibly want to know. So the potatoes are in the store in my pantry closet. Garlic I keep in a basket that has some ventilation, and I keep my onions in the bigger basket, same way, right next to each other. Nothing ever happens. They just hold good. But yeah, so quick, I'll show you again that this is the baking cabinet. Everything and anything that has to do with baking is kept in this cabinet. You can actually hear the way these lids open. They have really tight locks on them for the melting chips and the chocolate chips. And then I use these littler ones for baking soda, baking powder. This is the baking soda one. Has the same kind of little latch in case you want to pick these up while you're out. But that is the baking cabinet. This is where I keep everything that I need in a Jiffy Pop, which is my brown sugar, confectionery sugars back there. This is my real big sugar and my flour. with Hershey syrup and the caramel and my honey will be all in the same area below the cabinet on top of my freezer box because that works for me. And I'll give you another look at my spice cabinet. I'll try to go, let me see. And then it's basically however you want to organize them. Over here, like I said, is all my rubs that go all the way back. All my seasonings and everything. Things that I've dehydrated or dried from out of the garden. And yeah, I just absolutely do love my spice cabinet. There's a better view. Hope it's not too dark. I hope you can see that. And that is exactly how I keep all my herbs and spices. And then I've already showed you how I keep all my beans, my pretzel salt, lentils, kidney beans, black beans, and the balsami rice. But this is like an Indian type of rice. And, ooh, I just found it. What I was looking for earlier, which it's a little heavy. So let me sit down and show you, but I'm going to wrap this up. This is, again, I keep extra backup jars behind my ones that are full in case I need them. But this is everything that I pretty much dehydrated. My gardens did really well. So, yeah, I think you can't go wrong. And now mason jars are so in. I just think it's a fantastic way to store your stuff. Last but not least, because I did show you the two mason jar pitchers that are on top of my hutch. They're, to hold a gallon, they're gallon size. And I use it for orange juice and I use one for milk. I did show you that. And then I have this big bad boy, which is a gigantic mason jar with the spout on it, with the lid. I've had it for some time. You can see the red starting to fade off. A friend of mine bought me this, and this holds like 1.5 gallons or almost 2 gallons, I think this is. Let me see. Yep, it's 2 gallon. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. It's a 2 gallon pitcher. This is the only thing that I make my homemade iced tea in, and it's great because you just can pop the lid, you can clean it out, fill it, and it locks super tight as you just saw, and it has the spout down here. And this is what I use to store my homemade iced tea in. So as you can tell, I have a major love for mason jars, whether it's in the pitchers or just the jars in general. I try to incorporate it in my household. Some of my decorations are used by mason jars, but yeah. So sorry it took me so long to get on and show the video. I've been extremely busy lately. I'm trying to do a lot more videos, put a lot more content out there, and try to be thorough. But if someone leaves me a message and you have a specific question, I will do a video on it. This was one that's been sitting in the DM on Instagram for maybe a week. I say 2 weeks just to push it. But I wanted to get to that because I thought that was a great topic. Everybody does things differently. That's how I do it. I store everything in mason jars. So hopefully I covered everything. I think that I did. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down below. Thank you to all the new subscribers. I just made it to 51 as of, I think, yesterday. So I'm super excited. Just, got to build my way up to the top like everybody else did. So yeah, if you're new on this channel, thank you. I hope that you subscribed and you stick around. And don't forget to smash the like button. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And don't hesitate. If you have a question or a comment, please feel free to leave it down below. I will be more than happy to get back to you. And I hope this covered how I store my rice, beans, and my spices, which was originally the question. I just added in how I also store my iced tea, orange juice, and milk, and how I keep all my baking things all together, all in mason jars. Works for me. It's organized. Fantastic. If you'd like to do it, I forget what size my jars are. They might be little pints. I'm not really sure because I'm just learning about canning. So I don't really have the sizes down exactly. Let me grab one for you so I can show it to you in case I'm like completely wrong. Yeah, it doesn't say on here. But this is the size jar, guys, if you are interested. Like I said, my tags are getting a little old because it's been about 12 years since I came up with this idea. But if you want to try it out, you know, tag me in it. Show me your pictures. It's amazing. But yeah, this is like super easy. Just get yourself a little labeler so that you don't forget what's on there. I didn't bother to write on the top of the things except for one because it was jalapeno powder, and I needed to know what that one was, and I made sure I did a label because I accidentally purchased chili powder from overseas and literally only did like a 1/4 teaspoon in chili like a few years back with the boys, and it was so ungodly hot you could not even eat it. So on those types of things, make sure your labels are pretty bold. But yeah, this is the jars. This is how I keep all my spices. I hope that answered people's questions on that. And I'm in love with my roosters. Like I said, I'm trying to collect them. These are the measuring spoons. This is what the back looks like. It's all fancy smancy. Here's the inner. Like I said, my friend John bought them for me. And now we just need to find the cups to match it. But even if it doesn't absolutely match with the color, that's fine. Just as long as it has the rooster on the top, I'm grateful. But I just wanted to show that because super duper cute. Measuring spoons. Love them. There you have it, guys. There is today's video. I hope that was helpful for you. Like I said, feel free. Leave me a comment down below. If you have any questions or comments, I will get back to you. And that's how I store all my herbs and anything that I dehydrate. And all my baking stuff is all done by mason jars. So thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that it was informative. I kind of thought it was a little silly at first to make a video about this, but I guess people have questions and that's okay. How cute. Little mason jars, salt and peppers. This is my Himalayan salt. Yeah, I think I have like an addiction to mason jars. Love them, love them, love them. Thank you guys for joining me on this video today. Sorry if it was a little dark in the baking cabinet. I might get one of those underneath cabinet lights. Yeah, I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Smash the like button. Leave me a comment down below or a question. I'll be more than happy to answer it for you. And hopefully I covered everything. If there's anything that I missed, feel free to leave me another message. You can follow me over on Instagram under Bake a Leg and Let's Dig It. And I will be happy to touch any other subject, whatever question. If I can make a video out of it, I'll make a video out of it. This one ended up being a pretty good one because I didn't think people would be that interested on how I store because I'm in a limited space with my kitchen. And I think I said something like that on Instagram, and that might have been where they got the question from. How do I store my herbs, spices, and baking things? And that's it. So super easy. It's a cute little craft to do as well. Like I said, this is about 12 years old, not the spice, but it's a 12-year-old idea. And I haven't looked back since I have done my spice cabinet this way. So thank you guys for joining me today. I hope to see you again on the next video. Until then, God bless, and I will see you soon.